Hello Aries, and welcome to your August 2026 monthly horoscope. My name is Justyna. Welcome to my channel. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back. Alright, so here this month we've got a month of eclipses, so a really significant month. I know I said it last time as well, but overall July, August are very significant. Of course, in July we had a Mercury retrograde that could have slowed things down considerably, but also the node change signs, and of course Jupiter started its journey in the sign of Leo. All right, so here we've got August. August brings a very different energies, and the reason for that is because we've got the eclipse season. We've got an eclipse in the sign of Leo, but also an eclipse in Pisces. So on the one hand, we are kind of diving deeper into this brand new cycle that started back in February 2026, and we are also continuing with the cycle that started in 2024 September on Virgo and Pisces axis. So this cycle is almost coming to an end. We've got one more eclipse in early 2027, apart from the one in Pisces at the end of August. All right, so let's go step by step. So first of all, I follow Western astrology tropical zodiac, and these horoscopes are most accurate for your rising sign, aka your ascendant sign. All right, so here you can of course watch it also for your moon sign or your sun sign if you wish, just to get a bigger picture. However, it's essential to prioritize the ascendant sign. Chiron stations retrograde in the sign of Taurus on the 3rd of August as we start this brand new month. So first of all, this retrograde starts at 0 degrees of Taurus. So bear in mind, if your natal Chiron is in Taurus, then this is the beginning also of your Chiron return. And because whenever we have a brand new energies entering a brand new sign, the planets or natal placements placed within this sign, they get activated as well. So Chiron will start its retrograde journey on the 3rd, and it will last until January 2027. So it starts in Taurus and ends in Aries, and then next year Chiron will move into Taurus permanently, or more permanently. All right, so here we've got Chiron in your second house. The second house is the house of your money, income, financial security, stability. This is the area of life connected to the money that you earn through your own efforts, through your own skills and talents. This is also the area of self-worth, personal possessions, resources. So Chiron, the wounded healer, it is connected, of course, to healing, but it can also bring up to light any unhealed wounds, memories, emotions associated with your security, material, financial security and stability. Essentially, whatever disturbed that sense of stability in the past is also here to be healed during this transit. So this time around is just a little preview. You have a chance to explore, to feel these energies, but from next year and onwards, this is when the healing phase will fully begin. So this during the time when Chiron is retrograde in the sign of Taurus this year, which will last until around in 18th of September, at which point Chiron will retrograde back into Aries. But the very brief retrograde in the sign of Taurus, it's connected to a major review of what makes you feel secure, what makes you feel safe as well. Here, when it comes to that financial security and stability, this is also about self-worth, about valuing oneself, valuing your talents and your skills. This is an amazing opportunity, especially from next year, to rebuild self-confidence in yourself, in your abilities, in your capabilities as well. All right, so this is just a little preview. You're not going to feel it that intensely this year. We'll definitely come back to it next year when Chiron retrogrades again in Taurus. But this is just to give you some heads up. Your chart ruler Mars is going to move into the sign of Cancer, the sign of its full Not the best placement for Mars. My natal Mars is in Cancer. So here, this is happening in your 4th house, of course, as well. But at the same time, Mars in Cancer can be very reactive, and definitely try to control or be aware of your emotional responses around this time, especially here connected to any domestic situations, family-related matters as well. But overall, with Mars in the 4th house, the 4th house, of course, is your family, your foundations, your roots, where you come from, your emotional stability, while the 2nd house is your financial stability, security, material security. The 4th house is your emotional stability and security. So here with Mars in Cancer, we can get easily triggered, especially here when it comes to any family-related matters, domestic-related matters. But at the same time, this energy brings a lot of motivation to deal with DIYs, home-related matters, decluttering, renovating, an amazing time for a clear out. Mars is your energy, Mars is your stamina, motivation, drive. So this drive is directed towards your home. So definitely a great month, August. If you are around, of course, I know it's a holiday season, but if you're around, then this is a great time for dealing with those DIYs, home-related matters as well. But at the same time, here, make sure that you also watch your emotions, because Mars is your chart ruler, and it's not the happiest placement for Mars. Here, Mars in Cancer will square your ascendant or any planets you have in the 1st house of the South. So this can also bring extra triggers. So here, keep this in mind. But overall, an amazing month generally, as of the 11th through to the 2nd part of September. A great time for dealing with decluttering and home improvements as well. Right, so then on the 12th of August, a very important event, and this is a solar eclipse in the sign of Leo. So this is the very first eclipse in the sign of Leo, in this brand new cycle that started back in February 2026, a solar eclipse in Leo happening at 20 degrees. So with the eclipses, they can get activated prior to the eclipse and after the eclipse. And here what we need to pay attention to, we need to pay attention to the nodes, because the nodes are the ones that activate the eclipses. So this particular eclipse hasn't been activated, wouldn't or will not be activated before it happens, because here at this point the nodes will be still away from the degree of this eclipse. So this eclipse will be especially active throughout, I would say, this definitely the 2nd part of August, throughout September. Pay attention to when the south node will be at around 20 degrees of Leo, because this will be another activation of this eclipse. So we need to look at the nodes. The nodes are the ones who activate the eclipses. And if the node hasn't been yet at the degree of the eclipse, that means the eclipse will be activated, especially after it happens. If it was already activated, like with the Pisces eclipse would have been already activated a while ago. So we are dealing with a situation that has already happened a while back, whereas the solar eclipse in Leo, something is unfolding at this point. So basically what it is a south node eclipse. So a south node eclipse carries a karmic essence. It's happening in your 5th house. So here, of course, with the eclipses, I told you before that you need to look at a bigger picture, because we've got 2 houses being activated every 6 months. Of course, the nodes are in your 5th and 11th house at this point as well. So we've got the north node in your 11th house, the south node in the 5th house. The south node is, of course, connected to karmic energy. The south node energy sucks the energy out of the area of life where it is present. So you are in a cycle where you are freeing yourself from any blockages that stop you from being yourself. your true authentic self. The Leo energy can be very dramatic, can be very playful as well. But at the same time, this is a cycle of visibility. This is a cycle also of doing things that feel aligned with your true self. This is not about people pleasing. This is not about extending oneself just to please others, just to satisfy others, just to, for example, get the visibility that we want, even though we feel like it's forced. Here, it's about authenticity. This is actually quite huge with the South Node Leo eclipse. So something is being eclipsed out of this area of your life, and this is often connected to some major shifts in your understanding of your own life situation. But at the same time, this could be connected to some major creative projects, freelancing, new business, anything to do with also a new romance even. But something needs to shift as well. So your approach, whether that's your approach to romance, whether perhaps you're releasing some blockages, perhaps the need for constant validation. This is also the cycle that could indicate that you might get pregnant, you might give birth, for example, during this cycle. And there are many possibilities here with these energies, but since this is a South Node eclipse, something is being eclipsed out of our life. Literally, something misaligned, while something else is coming to fruition, is being initiated. And the 5th house is connected to creativity, our hobbies, interests, things that generally we are passionate about. But Leo energy is connected to authenticity, being true to oneself, and doing something because it feels right, because it feels aligned, not because we want the recognition. And not for the sake of recognition, not for the sake of validation or approval, external approval, because these sort of things are not going to bring desired results. But having said that, this could be also a time for some when you might be thinking about getting pregnant or starting your own family. And this is also the area of romance as well. So generally here, this could also be a time of either your romantic relationship taking a new direction, or perhaps someone completely brand new appearing in your life. So this will, of course, depend on your circumstances. All right, so then we've got Leo season as of the 23rd of August. At this point, of course, you've got also Mercury in Leo. You've got Venus in Libra as well. Venus enters Libra on the 6th. So as this eclipse happens in the second part of August, Venus will be in your 7th house as well. So I mentioned an element of romance in the solar eclipse bit. So yes, Venus is also in the 7th house. So love is in the air. Love is in the air. It's a very loving month, I would say, like the romantic, lots of romantic energy, and a good month for dating. A good month for dating, for being visible, for getting yourself out there, for being visible. And of course, the North Node is transiting your 11th house. So yes, this is a time when you are also going to be attracting different kind of people into your life, people that align with your path. So August seems like a really good month for being visible, for taking charge of your life. Now, in the second part of the month, we've got a lunar eclipse happening in the sign of Pisces, and this eclipse happens the day before the Sun, the day after the Sun and Mercury conjunction, Cazimi conjunction, happening at 4 degrees of Virgo. And on the 28th of August, we've got a lunar eclipse in the sign of Pisces at 4 degrees. So this is quite interesting because, of course, the Mercury Cazimi, we had one in July during Mercury Retrograde. So that was about something from the past becoming clearer. It was about gaining more understanding, more clarity about the past situation, something that would have already occurred prior to this actual event. But with the Sun and Mercury Cazimi happening the day before the eclipse, this is actually quite remarkable and quite powerful. So definitely a good time for self-improvement, for introducing a healthier, a better routine for your life, for your everyday reality. For some, this could actually manifest as a work opportunity or a new client here, for example, as well, since the Cazimi will take place in your 6th house of work. But here on the 28th, on the other hand, we've got a lunar eclipse happening in Pisces at 4 degrees of Pisces. And this is a very early degree of Pisces. This eclipse was already activated. It was activated in the month of July. And the reason for that is because the North Node crossed the degree of this eclipse already. So at this point, the nodes are already in the Leo and Aquarius signs, and we've got a full moon lunar eclipse in Pisces happening on the 28th now. So what does it mean? What is this about? So this is the final lunar eclipse in Pisces in this cycle. The next one will be in Virgo. This is happening in your 12th house. So you're almost coming to an end here in this cycle, where you would have probably changed your lifestyle to a certain extent, your routine, your health routine, for example, as well. But here with the 12th house activation of this energy, this is a very inward energy, I would call it, because it's happening in your 12th house. So it's a very spiritual, it could be a very spiritual time, very much indeed, but at the same time, it's a good time for going on a retreat or for reconnecting with oneself. Perhaps going on a walk on the beach or engaging in some spiritual activity, whatever resonates with you. But this is a very introverted eclipse for you, when you might feel very sensitive actually around this time, around the very end of the month. And since we've got Mercury in opposition to this eclipse, conjunct the solar point, you might feel mentally overwhelmed at this time. So this is a good time for peace and quiet, especially if you feel drained around this time, if you feel very reflective, because this is a very reflective time for you. And at the same time, during those moments of peace and quiet, you can really gain a lot of clarity of things that feel overwhelming, especially mentally overwhelming, with Mercury being activated during this time. So lunar eclipses are about closures, letting go. And something here is closing in your life, whether that's connected to your mental health, to your some private life, aspects of your private life, because the 12th house deals with our private life overall, behind the scenes energy, our fears and phobias, our mental health. Something here is needing to be released. So there's a shift happening on the subconscious level, and this shift could feel energetically draining. You might not really understand what's happening or why this is happening. But this is a time when you are letting go of some heavy energies that no longer serve you, whether that's some fears, things that hold you back, feelings, emotions, memories. There is some closure, letting go energy being activated, and it's going to be occurring emotionally rather than logically. And at the same time, this could be a good time to be surrounded by people that you can trust, because it could be a major time of some inner realizations, especially realizations that may come through perhaps your engagement in some conversations, for example, or through even watching some kind of interview or listening to a podcast, for example, as well. So there is a certain degree of closure happening here, which is quite necessary for you to move into the next chapter of your life, because remember, you also had that eclipse in Leo on the 12th of August. All right, so thank you so much, Aries. This is what I've got for you today. Have a wonderful month ahead, and until the next time, bye for now.